Chapter 1. Remember that time you tripped? Remember that time you tripped in public? Maybe it was on a busy street or perhaps in front of a crowd at a party. Face planted right in front of everyone. The ground seemed to come out of nowhere and there you were, sprawled out for all to see. Yeah, good times. We've all been there. Those moments when you wish the earth would just swallow you whole. It's funny how those awkward, cringeworthy moments stick with us like superglue. They become part of our personal highlight reel, whether we like it or not. You'd think our brains would be kinder, right? That they'd let us forget these little mishaps and focus on the good stuff. Think about it. What do you remember more vividly, winning a tenner on a scratch card or losing your wallet on holiday? The joy of a small win or the panic of a loss? Exactly. The bad stuff always seems to win the most memorable award. Why is that? Why do the negative experiences overshadow the positive ones? Why does our brain hold on to bad memories like a dog with a bone? It's like it's wired to remember the worst moments more clearly. It's like our minds are playing some cosmic joke, forcing us to relive our most embarrassing moments on repeat. Over and over again, those memories resurface uninvited. Well, my friends, welcome to the fascinating and slightly disturbing world of dark psychology. It's a realm where our minds seem to have a mind of their own, holding on to the bad and letting the good slip away. Scientists believe this might be an evolutionary trait, a way for our ancestors to remember dangers and avoid them in the future. But in today's world, it just means we remember every little slip-up. So what can we do about it? Practicing mindfulness and focusing on positive experiences can help. It's about training our brains to let go of the bad and hold on to the good. Because in the end, life is too short to be haunted by our past mistakes. Let's make a conscious effort to remember the good times, the laughter, and the joy. After all, those are the moments that truly deserve to be remembered. Chapter 2. Not as scary as it sounds, mostly. Now, before you picture me in a dark room whispering about mind control and evil plots, let's clear something up. Dark psychology isn't about becoming a supervillain, although tempting. It's simply the study of the darker aspects of human nature. The why we do the things we do, even when those things are a bit, well, messed up. Think of it as psychology with a bit of a rebellious streak. It's not about donning a cape and plotting world domination. Instead, it's about understanding the hidden motivations and unseen forces that drive our actions. For instance, why do we sometimes act against our own best interests? Or why do we find it so hard to break bad habits, even when we know they're bad for us? Dark psychology delves into these questions, offering insights that can be both enlightening and unsettling. And one of the things dark psychology helps us understand is our brain's bizarre obsession with negativity. It turns out there are actual scientific reasons why we remember the bad stuff more than the good stuff. Our brains are wired to focus on negative experiences as a survival mechanism. This tendency, known as the negativity bias, helped our ancestors stay alert to dangers in their environment. But in today's world, it can sometimes lead to unnecessary stress and anxiety. Understanding this can help us manage our reactions and make more conscious choices. It's like having a roadmap to navigate the complexities of our own minds. So while it might sound a bit dark and gloomy, dark psychology is actually a tool for self-awareness and growth. By shining a light on the shadowy corners of our psyche, we can better understand ourselves and others. I know it's a bit depressing, but also kind of interesting, right? It's like peering behind the curtain and seeing the inner workings of the human mind. So next time you catch yourself dwelling on a negative thought, remember, there's a reason for it. And with a bit of understanding, you can learn to shift your focus and find a more balanced perspective. Chapter 3. Why bad sticks like superglue. So why are our brains wired this way? Why can't we just focus on the good times and let the bad ones fade away? Well, you can blame evolution. Our ancestors weren't worried about missing a sale on shoes. They were worried about being eaten by saber-toothed tigers. You see, for our cavemen ancestors, remembering negative experiences was crucial for survival. If Og ate a bad berry and got sick, he needed to remember that berry was bad news to avoid it in the future. Fast forward to today, and our brains are still wired the same way, even though our biggest threat is probably an awkward encounter at the supermarket. Chapter 4. Real-life examples of sticky negativity. Think about it. What do you remember more vividly from school? Acing that test, or the time you completely blanked during a presentation? Or how about relationships, the honeymoon phase, or that massive argument you had? Yeah, I thought so. Our brains are wired to pay more attention to negative events. It's like they're trying out for a role in a horror movie, constantly searching for threats and dangers. This negativity bias, as it's called, affects everything from our relationships to our careers. It's why we dwell on criticism, remember insults more than compliments, and assume the worst in every situation. Chapter 5, Survival of the Fittest Memories. Okay, evolution plays a part. But why do these negative memories stick around so stubbornly? Well, imagine your brain is like a computer, a slightly faulty one, prone to crashing at the worst possible moment. Positive memories are like small, easily compressible files. They don't take up much space. Negative memories, on the other hand, are like those massive video files you can never seem to delete. They take up more storage space and are harder to get rid of. And just like your computer runs slower with too many large files, our brains prioritize negative memories because they were historically more important for our survival. Chapter 6. Our default setting is Grumpy Cat. This tendency to prioritize the negative is called negativity bias. It's like our brain's default setting is Grumpy Cat, even when things are going relatively well. Negativity bias is why we remember that one negative comment on social media more than the hundreds of positive ones. It's why we dwell on our mistakes long after they've happened. It's also why news headlines are so often negative. Bad news sells because our brains are hardwired to pay attention to it. It's the mental equivalent of slowing down to look at a car crash. We know we shouldn't, but we can't help ourselves. Chapter 7, Your Brain's Negativity DJ. Now let's meet the mastermind behind all this negativity, the amygdala. The amygdala is a small almond-shaped part of your brain, yes really, that acts like your personal security guard. It's constantly scanning your environment for potential threats. And when it senses danger, it hits the panic button, flooding your body with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. The problem is the amygdala is a bit of a drama queen. It tends to overreact, seeing threats everywhere, even when there's nothing to worry about. So the next time you're freaking out over a spilled coffee or a grumpy email, you can blame your overzealous amygdala. Chapter 8. Negativity's role in our lives. From cavemen to keyboard warriors, negativity's role in our lives. Since the dawn of humanity, negativity has been a crucial part of our survival mechanism. Our ancestors needed to be hyper-aware of dangers in their environment to stay alive. This negativity bias helped them avoid threats and navigate a world filled with peril. So what does all this mean for us in the 21st century? In our modern world, the threats we face are vastly different from those of our ancestors. We no longer need to worry about predators lurking in the shadows, but our brains are still wired to focus on the negative. We're not dodging saber-toothed tigers anymore, but negativity bias still plays a huge role in our lives. It affects our relationships, our careers, and our overall well-being. In the workplace, it can lead to increased stress and burnout, as we tend to focus on our failures rather than our successes, and even our mental health. Negative thoughts can spiral into anxiety and depression, making it difficult to maintain a positive outlook on life. This can lead to a cycle where negativity feeds on itself, creating a downward spiral that is hard to break. It can make us more anxious, more prone to stress, and more likely to experience mental health issues. The constant barrage of negative information can overwhelm our senses and make it difficult to find peace and contentment. More critical of ourselves and others, leading to strained relationships and a lack of self-compassion. We may find ourselves stuck in a loop of self-criticism, unable to appreciate our own worth and achievements, and less likely to take risks. Fear of failure can hold us back from pursuing our dreams and seizing opportunities. This hesitation can prevent us from growing and achieving our full potential. In the digital age, we're bombarded with negativity from all sides. The constant stream of information from news outlets and social media platforms can make it feel like the world is a dark and dangerous place. News headlines scream about disaster, amplifying our fears and anxieties. The media often focuses on the most sensational and negative stories, which can skew our perception of reality. Social media is a breeding ground for negativity and comparison, where we constantly measure ourselves against others. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem, as we compare our lives to the highlight reels of others. And it's easier than ever to focus on the bad. With so much negative content at our fingertips, it can be challenging to shift our focus to the positive aspects of life. But here's the good news. Just because our brains are wired for negativity doesn't mean we're doomed to a life of misery. By becoming aware of our negativity bias, we can take steps to counteract it. Practicing gratitude, mindfulness, and positive thinking can help rewire our brains and create a more balanced perspective. Surrounding ourselves with positive influences and seeking support from others can also make a significant difference. Remember, while negativity may be a part of our nature, we have the power to choose how we respond to it. Chapter 9. So, can we just hit delete on bad memories? If only it were that easy, right? While we can't erase bad memories completely, believe me, I've tried, we can learn to manage them and lessen their impact. It's like having a noisy neighbor. You can't evict them from your building, but you can invest in some noise-canceling headphones. One way to do this is to reframe negative experiences. Instead of dwelling on the bad, try to find the silver lining. Even in the worst situations, there's usually something to be learned or gained, or Chapter 10. Turning that frown upside down, or at least sideways. Turning that frown upside down, or at least sideways. Another strategy is to focus on gratitude. When you're feeling down, take some time to appreciate the good things in your life, no matter how small they may seem. And finally, remember that you're not alone. We all have bad memories and negative thoughts. Talking to a therapist or counselor can help you develop healthy coping mechanisms and reframe negative experiences in a more positive light. Chapter 11. Life's a roller coaster, enjoy the ride, even the drops. In conclusion, life's a roller coaster, enjoy the ride, even the drops. So there you have it. The science behind why we remember bad stuff more than good stuff. It's not pretty, but hey, at least it's interesting. Just remember, life is like a roller coaster. It has its ups and downs, its twists and turns. But the key is to enjoy the ride, even the drops. And if all else fails, just remember, at least you're not a caveman trying to outrun a saber-toothed tiger. Perspective, people. Perspective.